y'all, Sarah here, and welcome to Cooking with the First Ladies for the National First Ladies Library. But today we're not going to focus on the ladies of the White House, but their children. February is National Bake for Family Fun Month, so we're going to learn about the first kids of the White House and create a few fun recipes that will be great to make together as a family and should be kid approved and hopefully first mom approved too. In this video, we're going to make cookie cups and pizza monkey bread. Now, there have of course been so many kids who have lived at one of the most recognizable addresses in the country and the world, from Tad Lincoln to Amy Carter, which the latter you can learn a little more about if you tune into my next live program for the library in April, which will focus more specifically on her mother, Rosalind Carter. Even though fun times were had at the White House, it was challenging living in the public eye and in a place where so many important events were happening when they were young. Even though they had so many amazing opportunities, such as traveling and meeting famous people, it had to be quite hard to be surrounded by Secret Service agents and scrutinized by the media and really the whole world. Even so, the history of the nation's first kids is full of hilarious stories and kids just being kids. So a few of these first kids were quite the troublemakers, but mostly all in good fun. Not sure if they caused quite as much mischief in the executive mansion as Grace Coolidge's pet raccoon, Rebecca, did, but there were some that tried. One of them was Charles Taft, who once flew a model airplane off of the roof of the White House. He would actually sometimes answer calls on the switchboard as well. The young Taft children were actually friends of the Lincoln children. Now, Tad Lincoln was also a prankster, including when he tied his two goats, Nanny and Nano, to a chair and rode them through the East Room, as well as the time he wore his Union uniform and bombed the cabinet room doors with his toy cannon. He also somehow found a way to make all the bells ring for the staff at the same time, surprising everyone. In addition, Edith and Teddy Roosevelt's son, Quentin, who moved into the White House when he was 3 years old, built an obstacle course in the halls and played hide and seek with his friends. He was the most fun-loving and youngest of all 6 of their children. Roosevelt actually nicknamed them the White House Gang because they were so wild. They roller skated in the halls and slid down the banisters, and Roosevelt went on to say that he didn't think that any other family had ever had so much fun living in the residence. Mostly their antics were harmless, but Quentin almost accidentally ran a toy wagon into Lucy Hayes's portrait. Quentin later enlisted in the Air Force and was sadly killed during World War I fighting for his country when he was only 20 years old. One of the other Roosevelt children, Alice, who was the only child of Teddy and his first wife, was also pretty wild in a different way, smoking in public, having affairs during her marriage, and she once even brought a snake to a party. Even though she was outspoken and unconventional, the American people adored her and nicknamed her Princess Alice. Now, the first kids over the years have all enjoyed calling the White House home, and Jesse Grant, who actually ran for president and lost in 1908, and his sister Nellie once called it, quote, the largest and best playground available. Years later, Eleanor Roosevelt added slides, sandboxes, and swings on the South Lawn for her grandchildren, Buzzy and Sisty, who came to live with them after their parents divorced. Also, Amy Carter, who moved in when she was 9, had a treehouse built for her. She also permanently left her mark in a different way when she wrote her name in marker in the elevator shaft. Amy also loved to read and once brought Charlie in the great glass elevator, ironically, to a state dinner, and one senator actually tried to get her to stop reading and eat her spinach. I'm sure we can all relate. She also did the illustrations while her father did the writing on a children's book called The Little Baby Snugglefleeger. Some of the first kids were not quite so young when they lived in the White House. Susan Ford moved in as a senior in high school at the age of 17. She actually hosted the first and only high school prom at the White House. Her brother Stephen would blast rock music. That night they moved in from the roof, and even though he wanted to stay out of the spotlight, he eventually starred in over 30 movies and multiple television roles. Julie Nixon was very active in children's issues, among other things, and would give tours to the sight and the hearing impaired, which reminds me so much of former First Lady Grace Coolidge. Julie and her sister were also put in charge of the 2 Kennedy children when they visited their previous residence. She would also go on to marry the grandson of another president, David, Dwight D. Eisenhower's grandson. And interestingly enough, Eisenhower named the presidential retreat Camp David after his grandson. The Bush twins, Jenna and Barbara, moved in at 19. Recently, Jenna said that she and her sister had the nicknames from the Secret Service of Turquoise and Twinkle, but she didn't like hers because people confused it with Tinkle. The Kennedy children were some of the most famous children to live in the White House. John Jr., known as John, and Caroline were some of the younger children to move in. Jackie was pregnant with John Jr. when they moved in after the election. Jackie, like many First Ladies, cared deeply for her children and went to great lengths to protect as well as take care of them. Jackie felt that if you didn't care for your children, then really nothing else you did really mattered. They loved to play in the Oval Office, and John would often hide under his father's desk, where he was occasionally found during important business discussions. Caroline said, quote, "It's so big, it looks like a castle," when they pulled up to move in. Now, the Kennedys went as far as to build a school for the children, complete with class pets and a sandbox in the solarium, which was known as the Sky Parlor, which was an old Virginia term for sunny attic room when it was added by Grace Coolidge in the 1920s. The area was popular with everyone in the first family, especially the kids. Betty Ford once said, quote, "A president's children seem to head there as if directed by radar." First kids especially loved it because it was a retreat from their parents, but also the public eye. The Kennedys weren't the only ones to utilize it for kids. Eleanor Roosevelt used it for her grandkids, who recalled having lunches with their grandfather in the solarium. The Eisenhowers also used it for their grandkids as well, and they fondly remembered watching TV, especially Lassie. So now we're gonna make the pizza monkey bread. So pizza is popular with everyone, but did you know it's a huge security risk to order and have pizza delivery at the White House? Chelsea Clinton actually ordered pizza, causing huge security concerns, which according to Hillary was the most mischievous thing that she did as a teen in the White House. So I've already made the dough ahead of time since you'll need a few hours to let it rise. But to make the dough, you're going to mix 3 1/4 cups of flour, 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, 2 teaspoons of salt. Next, you're going to heat 1 1/4 cups of milk and 2 tablespoons of butter, and then slowly add to the flour mix. You actually will want to mix for several minutes to activate the yeast, about 6 to 8 minutes. Then you'll just want to put the dough with a little oil and cover the bowl and let it rise for 2 or more hours. So to make the pizza filling, you're just going to mix 2 cups of pizza sauce, 20 slices of chopped turkey pepperoni, 3 crushed cloves of garlic, and 2 1/2 cups of mozzarella and a bit of fresh basil. Now, after your dough is ready, just knead it a bit, and then you're going to either cut it up or pull it apart into small pieces. Then you're going to stir the pizza sauce into the mix, making sure it's all coated in your greased bundt pan. Press it down with a spatula and then cover this and let it rise for about an hour, which you can actually leave in the refrigerator overnight so you can finish it fresh for the next day. Then finally, bake on 350 degrees for about 40 minutes or until the top is browned. Before we make our next recipe, and also this is your finished product that you will get is your cool little pizza ring. So a little bit more about some of our more recent kids, White House kids. In 2009, Sasha and Malia Obama moved in, and the staff actually organized a scavenger hunt to show them around their new home. They also had not only a Jonas Brothers concert on their first night, but also a sleepover, complete with pizza and chicken nuggets. So next we're going to make the cookie cups. You can make your own cookie dough, or you can just use pre-made. Today, I'm going to be using pre-made cookie dough. And the most fun part about this is you can basically fill and decorate however you want. So making the cookie cups are easy because you can just get your little pre-made dough from the store. You're gonna take 2 squares and form them into a ball and then press. And then you're going to press them down into your greased muffin pan. You're gonna bake these on 325 for around 20 to 25 minutes, and of course until they're browned. So after you remove them from the pan, just let them fully cool and then decorate them as you would like. You can use fruit with yogurt, ice cream, chocolate, nuts, sprinkles, whatever for the fillings, and decorate them as you want. That's one of the most fun parts. So I used a little bit of homemade icing and chocolate chips for the cookies. So what you will get is some really cute and really fun little cookie cups. So several of these first kids have gone on to do incredible things, such as writing children's books like Chelsea Clinton, becoming the first female ambassador to Japan like Caroline Kennedy, or continuing in their parents' political footsteps like Jack Carter. So thanks y'all so much for tuning in today, and I hope you'll have fun baking these recipes or others with your kids and family. So let us know how your cookie cup creations turn out, or if you love the pizza monkey bread. Also, don't forget to check out the National First Ladies Library socials and website for more, and you can follow along on my Instagram, Cooking with the First Ladies, for more as well. So thanks y'all again, and see you next time.